Okay. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to put this out here so that I can highlight the topic of the day. And the topic is obviously as you can see here, how to endure long fights for justice, equality, and freedom. And just want to put myself out here so you can see me as well. Okay. So here I have put out a question of the day. Let me show that to you. The question of the day is, how can our commitment to a social cause be sustained? So, a lot of things are happening in the justice movement. We have been facing a lot of things, issues, having to keep fighting and then again get distracted because other people bring other problems to the table and then we'll have to keep resolving. So, how do we keep our momentum up and continue fighting? Okay, so oops, I meant to keep this picture on. Okay, so while that's happening, why does this picture get? Okay, so the question of the day is, how can our commitment to a social cause be sustained? So, what does that mean? I will go through the life cycle of a social change and we will explain that using a whiteboard. So let's do a whiteboard on this. And I have a few topics that we are going to talk about here. Okay. So I want you to, any one of you who is watching, I want you to tell me how do you stay committed to the social cause that you're fighting for? Okay. So okay, let me flash the question here. How do you stay committed to a social cause? And I want to explain to you guys two things here. Dude, why does this picture keep going away? Okay. So there are going to be two topics that we can talk about today. Okay. So the topic is personal and social. Okay. So our personal life and social life, and how at the intersection of this we can work for positive change. Okay, so how do you manage your personal and your social commitments while also working towards positive change? Okay, if you guys are uh, can if you have any questions, please let me know. And it's fairly quiet in here today. So it's a Monday evening for those of you, I mean, Monday night for those of you in India, and here in the US, it is the afternoon of Monday. Okay, so here, personal and social, at the junction of our personal and social lives, we can still continue to work for positive change. So, how do we do that? And what can make this sustainable? Okay, because we are approaching the 18-month milestone of our fight for justice for Sushant Singh Rajput. So, just taking that as an example, how do we go about ensuring that we can continue working instead of burning out? Okay, so let me put this away. Okay, Shivani, hello, ma'am. How are you? You okay? So unless we make social cause our own, we won't dedicate ourselves enough. Okay, so fair point. So Shivaniji, I keep thinking, yes, you know, uh, human beings have this amazing ability to endure other people's suffering. Take upon other people's suffering, to assume that take people's grief, we take people's suffering, and we start fighting for them. So we are the only ones who do that. Animals could care less for that. So that is what differentiates us. If it bothers us, we will strive for change. Okay. Okay, excellent. Thank you, ma'am, for hanging out. Okay, so yes, so if it bothers us, we will start pushing. So that is the beauty, right? So human beings and animals, what is the difference between us is we actually, it is so amazing. We might not be personal victims to that kind of a issue, but we still stand up and fight. So that is the difference between animals and human beings. And there is a beautiful quote by David Leviathan. I want to put it out here because that will help us understand why we actually end up uh, even fighting for other people's causes, because it's just so surprising. We already have so much of work in our own lives, right? But we still, I have this. Hold on, let me just put this out here. So we are going to talk about the life cycle of a social change, and let me just put this here. Okay. So, okay. So what separates? Can you guys see this? Okay, I hope you can. Okay. So what separates us from animals? What separates us from chaos is our ability to mourn people we have never met. Okay. So why do we even um, fight for people? It's just, that is how we are just wired, because we are wired to care. We are wired to care. So, yeah. Example, plantation should be done, we know that, but we don't feel to move unless we feel the heat from sun or suffer from unavailability of food and nourishment. Absolutely. And we can see that we are actually in the middle of a very, very big climate crisis. And as you said, unless it is life or death, we really don't, see that urgency in ourselves. So, absolutely. Empathy can play a role, but to sustain longer, we need to feel whether it is actually bothering us or not. Absolutely. And being able to, I feel like it is sustainable for me if I continue to remember what I am here for in the first place. So, sometimes it becomes very, very difficult. You'll have to balance a lot of things, personal and professional lives, social commitments. There's so many things, but you're like, okay, I'm doing this for this reason, because of which I need to sustain. Um, yeah, empathy, see, empathy and sympathy and compassion and all these, I agree with you. They are still not going to be giving you the sense of urgency or the life and death issue that will show us this sense of urgency for the cause. So yeah. Marilyn Francis Ji, how are you, ma'am? Thank you for being here. Welcome, welcome. So okay. Absolutely, you need to absolutely. So there are. So I will show you the life cycle of how social change happens, and show you the life cycle of how a social change happens, and then how you can cultivate that fire and keep it burning in a sustained fashion. So sometimes, of course, sometimes there is an overwhelming need that we step away and we do other things in our life that are more important, but it's still we can continue to manage to do that. So how do we do that? So let's go about here. So first thing is, I want to talk about just our personal journey. What is, how do you define happiness? If you guys are looking to understand how happiness is. So happiness, so everybody says, oh, what is your goal? I want to be happy. I want to be joyful. But what we fail to understand that is, you can be happy in this moment. You can probably be climbing the Mount Everest. Okay, 1 minute you're here, and the next minute you get a call that your best friend or your mother or your father, somebody has passed away. So what is the value of that moment? What is the value of that joy that you have just experienced? Is it going to be um, you climbed Mount Everest for so long, planned over a year to be able to accomplish that. That momentary joy is taken away the minute you find out that your loved one has passed away. So what is the value of that? So what happens sometimes is in our understanding, so in our well-being, we want to be well, we want to be happy, we want to be joyful. We forget that a lot of things can cut into our happiness. So what are the things that are cut into our happiness? Let's look at it. And only if we repair ourselves, only if we are able to nurture ourselves to become a whole person, then we can continue fighting for other people and other causes. Because if you're not feeling complete, if you're not feeling whole, you can become a very easy victim for other people's blame games or gaslighting. A lot of things that can start bothering you if you don't have your own definitions of who you are and what you are here for. So, what are the things that bother us about? Okay, let me just check 1 second. Okay, so absolutely, Marilyn ji, yes. So, yes, so 1 minute you are here at the top of the world, the next minute you are like, it doesn't matter. Nothing about this journey, nothing about the journey that you got to hear will matter. So the nature of happiness itself is fleeting. So that is what the point is here. But we are always chasing some of these things. We forget that well-being is something completely sustainable if we understand how all these emotions are playing with us in our life. To look at working together for a cause, we should engage people enough to let them feel successful in small things, which keeps them involved with the cause and contribute. Absolutely, Shivani ji. So that is the so there are as we are talking about well-being, I'll talk about that aspect of our life, in our contribution, the piece of the pie, which is the contribution, is when you are giving back. You give joy, you get joy. You give other people grief, obviously you are going to get muddled in some things. So and encouraging other people, as you said, making them feel also that they matter and their contribution is equally good. There's so many ways that we can inspire and lead social change. Absolutely. Lena G is here. In the path and process of getting justice, we have to be patient and have perseverance. We need to keep calm. So, in order to achieve justice, we should be just ice, be firm and solid. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Lena Ji. You have a word. You have a way with words. We know that. So yes. So absolutely, and that's what just ice reminded me of the word sthita prajna, right? In so other than, so whether it is context or circumstance, whatever it is, trying to get the full picture of what you're going through and just staying sthita prajna, just not getting swayed by your emotions to act, react and all that in the moment. So um, absolutely, thank you, Shivani ji. Yeah. Just ice. I know. Um, so here, so what cuts into our well-being, even for just every single day? What is it that is taking us very far away from our basic inherent nature of bliss? Okay, so sometimes what happens is we know all the things that will end our sorrow, but we don't do them. We're either too lazy or we hope that the situation will take care of itself. We know that just interacting with the other person or just getting out of the situation and just not um, bothering about it too much, all these things will end our sorrow, but we don't do all these things. We want to continue and perpetuate the drama here. Okay, so just okay, so we'll continue this about the takeaways of what we have to do, but just broadly, competition making. So we have talked about this quite a bit. Competition. I hope I got the spelling right. So competition, making it irrelevant and making it only with yourself. So what you can do is just impressing yourself with the positive emotions of love, passion. Make competition irrelevant. Just to try to impress yourself and others with amazing qualities that are inherently human. So we'll tie this back to why we are so passionately engaged with the freedom fight for, I mean, justice fight for Sushant Singh, because his humanity is his impact. So why do we feel like we connect with him so much? So all these qualities that are inherently human: love, passion, humility, respect, and integrity, honesty, all these things. Oh my good lord. Okay, so integrity, and just positivity, right? Like just positivity. Nobody wants to be near a always a person who's complaining, who's like cribbing and crying and all that. So all these qualities which make us inherently human are the ones, if you're aligned with all these values that make you inherently human, you will be. So again, not competition with anybody else, just proving to yourself that you can really help shine your humanity. That is what we are talking about. Okay, so this is us as human beings. And then what do we do if we want to understand social change? So let's move here and talk about social change. So I was just showing that picture here. These are two of the metal, what are they called, displays that are there. This one is for Martin Luther King, which is showing that it's a hug, it is that you belong, it is that we are all connected, we are together. And this one is rising against any kind of injustice, or raising our voice, our own personal microphone. If we see something, say something. Like how do we do that, right? So let's go here where we are talking about the Zeit board. Let me go back to the Zeit board and see. So till now, what we have seen is how do we as human beings can sustain our happiness by not competing with anybody else, but trying to shine our own inherent humanity. Okay. So let's think that we can become a whole being if we are helping shine our best human qualities. Next, what do we do? Okay, trying to understand how the world operates. Okay, so first things first, let's do a different pen color. We can talk about everyone else. Okay, so us. So what do we want? Every one of us wants. The first one is um, upward mobility. So a millionaire wants to become a billionaire. A poor guy wants to at least have a decent meal and be able to send his kids to school. Everybody wants upward mobility. So why do we get into social causes and social change? Let's just try to understand that. And everybody, so we are understanding what drives us. Okay. So the second thing is, so everybody wants upward mobility. Everybody wants recognition. Okay. I want to recog. Spellings. And so, oh my gosh. Hold on one second. Recognition. So everybody wants recognition. Everybody wants to make an impact, and everybody, when they're making an impact, make an impact. So even though we are making an impact, okay, we don't worry about that. First we want recognition, we want fame, we are hungry for attention, and that manifests in different ways in the world right now. But what do we want? Okay, this is pretty much everybody in the world who is alive and breathing, okay, or once lived, always wanted any one of these at any given point of time, and all of them. Okay, so here, upward mobility, recognition, and making an impact. So in that case, so even satyagraha, right? So even satyagraha that we were fighting. So the non-violence movement that we were fighting in 1947, so that the Britishers can leave us alone and just we can get our country back. We were also, while we were fighting for these for ourselves, we were also fighting for our independence. So here we combined our personal. So what we did was, we were always striving to live better lives. We were fighting for recognition. We were fighting for to make an impact. Every single morning you get up and try to think of all the things that you want to do to make an impact, but you also are going to work towards social causes. So plus, oh, 1 second, let me do this. Plus the fourth thing is a social cause. So everybody wants to be associated with something because they want to leave the planet a better place than how they found it. Okay, so 1 second. Oops, sorry, I am not checking. Okay. Nilima G. Okay, good thing that divine timing. Absolutely. Justice for SSR. Thank you, ma'am. And the more you go deeper into thought, naturally you will react upon your thinking. Okay, Shivani ji says money, peace of mind, fame, recognition. Absolutely. The many people who fight for some cause draw inspiration from others. Doing efforts relentlessly gives you strength. Hope keeps it alive. Also, sacrifice is inevitable in this process. Absolutely. And without any kind of, I mean, something has to give, right? Like, what is that? Either your time, your energy, or there's so many things that you will have to, without that sustained dedication, without that sacrifice, absolutely you will not be able to progress, and you will have to understand. So that is how, see, understanding these things, Lina ji, is one thing, right? That yes, sacrifice is involved. I have to keep working hard and all those things. But what we sometimes fail to do is giving our family and our friends enough information that we are actually doing something like this, because of which this communication gap and a lot of drama keeps happening. So we just need to, so these are the pointers that we are going to be talking about, how to make it sustainable, so that at the end of the day you're continuing to fight without getting burnt out, and also your family and your friends also understand where you're coming from. So because communication is a very big thing here. Okay, so let's go. I want to talk about, the next thing I want to talk about is, okay, so do we why do we actually fight for activism? So let's just talk about the reason why many of us fight in social causes. Okay, so we see a crisis. Okay, so let's go here. We see, how do we start fighting for a social cause? We see a social crisis. Okay, we see that we see crisis, and we are like, oh, we need to be doing something, because we make sure that it doesn't repeat itself. So we have that sense of urgency, and we are like, immediately we get together, we do, we create awareness, we fight in our own way, we do a lot of things to ensure. Oops, dude, I'm not able to. Okay, so we need to ensure that such a crisis doesn't happen again. Okay, so that is how everybody. So there is always a turning point. So let's say June 14th. So I was browsing Instagram, and I was posting something for my own company. I was doing something, and then I was like, something was trending, and I was like, what is trending? And then I see Sushant Singh Rajput, and I was like, who is this gentleman? And then I'm seeing his Instagram posts, and literally the whole day on June 14th, 2020, I'm like, what is this person? Like, how can a person like this, end his life? It is impossible. And so then that's the reason why. So that pivoting. So once you see a crisis, you turn, and then you're like, oh, okay. So whatever I'm doing to, for my own life, like, okay, I need to get a better life. I need recognition. I want to make an impact. Okay, this is all great and everything is fine. But there is something else to life that I want to work on a social cause. So I want to be able to leave the planet a better place than I found it, right? So that is why, so a lot of people might have pivoted like this when you saw something like this. So one second. Interesting session, but can't see it. Okay. Sorry, Madeline ji. Okay, sorry. I've gotten this feedback a little before as well. I will please. I'm sure if you're in India, it's probably a little late, but please, by all means, you can catch up later. So the thing is, unfortunately, I work very odd hours, and then my kids are home this entire week. So it's just been a crazy time. But I wanted to do this because I feel like, we can boost each other up by talking about what makes it sustainable for us. So I really appreciate your feedback, and thank you for being so candid with me. Uh, and I appreciate it. A lot of people who watch, they're like, wish you have more viewers, or like wish you have more footage or whatever. I'm like, it's okay, it's okay. Whoever is here, and the idea is connection and contribution among ourselves. So don't worry. Thank you. Um, yes, exactly. It bothers our consciousness. Why do we get into social causes? Is because we cannot just stay put with seeing something unfold in front of us. Moral wrong does not let us be still. Absolutely, absolutely. Yes. So, and that is what our complicated complex brains do to us, right? We are just not animals to just let it go and keep quiet, or just mind our own business and just keep walking. That is, when there is a crisis or anything that unfolds in front of you, you immediately take note and you want to do something, because that's how we humans are programmed. Thankfully, that is how we are programmed. Okay, so two things happen when crisis happens. Okay, how we engage. So there are two things that can happen because of which. Okay, so there will be a lot of, how can we make this crisis better? The first thing, second thing. So let's go to the first thing. The first thing is obviously, how can we treat, so in intercommunity communication. Okay, so how do we interact with each other as human beings? Okay, and the second thing is government oversight. So there are so many things, right? So there is a legal body above us who should be taking care of things, who where they have some oversight and they did not do a good job. And again, all this caste system or racial tensions and all these things happen because we among ourselves don't do a good job of treating each other with humanity. So two things are happening here, because of which usually a large scale crisis happens. The first thing is obviously because in the society, we don't interact with each other well. And of course, there is government oversight over us, which is not doing a good job. So, so so thank you, Shivani ji. Thank you so much for your encouragement. I appreciate that. Please, you're already giving me your attention currency, so I really appreciate that. And thank you. Yeah, it is the natural human tendency to help, which helps absolutely, and that is the reason why we cannot forget that we are inherently good people. Okay, human beings. So that is what the main point is here, that our natural drive to be useful for other people, to contribute as much as we can in this life, is what makes us special and unique. But what happens, why do we get into crisis, is because the just we forget, we go group think, Arey, isne ye kiya, to I will also do that to him. We get into that kind of group think mentality. Or our government also does not live up to what it is supposed to do, and it commits some blunder. So there are a lot of things which lead to a mass crisis. So thank you, Shivani ji. Yeah, thank you. So here, okay, so let's see a little bit about how, when you are in the middle of such a crisis, okay, when you are trying to Either you're fighting for racial equality, you're fighting for women's rights, or you're trying to call up the government or the agencies or get some action done on some injustices. Whatever you are doing, whatever large scale or small scale crisis that you are trying to mitigate and help out with, there are a few things that you can always ask yourself. So let's go into how to put all these things into action. So we have an idea, okay? We want to do something, but where do we begin? Okay, so first things is, okay, so let's do, there's so many questions that you can ask yourself before you jump into a crisis management situation. If you want to really help out, there's so many things. The first thing is, what are my values? What do I want to stand up for? Okay, the second thing is, what social changeism do am I interested in? There's so many causes that you can work in, right? But there is a social changeism for everybody. Your cause might not be the same as my cause, somebody else's cause might be not be the same as somebody else's. So what is it? Identify that. Okay, and somebody might be working on climate change, somebody might be working on women's birth rights, fertility rights. There can be so many changeisms that are there that you can pick. And do you want to pick only one, or can you pick multiple? Okay, that's also, again, you can keep answering your questions. And what do I stand for? What are my values? Think about that. Okay, and that will help you answer all these things. So if, let's say, you want to fight for specifically, like in Alaska, there is overfishing that is happening in Alaska. I want to fight for environmental protection or something like that. But is that feasible for you, where you live somewhere else on the other side of the globe and you want to fight for Alaska? Is this feasible? So think about all the things, because the closer you are to the system, the easier it is to make the change, right? So try to research on the topic of what is sustainable for you. Okay, so is that a cause that you can keep fighting long term? Okay, so think, understand the sustainability of that cause that you in your own life, when pertaining to your own life. So that is something that you can, and so is it sustainable for me to be able to fight? Okay, next thing is there any support? Can I find any local support? Can I start my own chapter? Can I start my own chapter in this city to create awareness? Okay, then again, social media, you can do social media, you can do rallies, posters, rallies. And we have seen that Kolkata and Delhi warriors had even gone to Patna to show their solidarity to Sushant. So there's so many things. And if you know Sachin Ji, who is also doing so, oops, sorry, he does a lot of calling of agencies. So he calls up a lot of agencies and he requests them to provide action or provide any kind of immediate, oops, 1 second, let me erase this part. Okay, so you can ask for what is the status right now. What is the status right now of the thing that you are working on? So you can find out. So like that, you can ask a lot of questions, and these are all the moving parts of a social change activism profile. So look at all these things, but the most basic thing, the first thing is, are they falling into my values and my belief system? Okay, because uh, if you don't truly stand for it, you will not fight for it longer. You will just abandon it because you don't identify, it doesn't feel good, doesn't come from the heart. So hello sir, Sarvesh ji, welcome sir. My genuine or just join? Yes, absolutely, Shivani ji. You have to be able to ask yourself, is this really, what is it worth fighting for? Is it what my value system and my belief system stand for? Otherwise, you just won't last long and you will know that. So, hello, Tanya ji. How are you, ma'am? Welcome. So here, these are all the questions you will have to ask yourself, and if you have to be true to yourself in the long run, especially when you are trying to make things that are outside in the social ecosystem better. So how can you go against your values to go stand up for anybody else? It's just not going to be sustainable. So that's that. Let's go a little bit more, and I will explain to you how this will all work, especially when you are in the middle of social change. So let's say you have already picked a social cause, you're working towards it, everything is great. But in that also, you need to be asking yourself questions. The questions are, you're working towards something, and there will always be another party. So let's say, for example, for us, right? So SSRians is a brand now. Everybody knows what an SSRian is, what we do, what we stand for, what our value system is, and how we just conduct ourselves online and everywhere. So if you are an SSRian, obviously, so let's just say there is another party, like some kind of a Bollywood PR that we are up against, or some, one of these actors, fans, or anybody who is against us. So, in that, when we are receiving hate, or we are receiving any kind of bullying, or any kind of um, negative action from the other side, which is creating inertia on our path. So, we are trying to move forward with our social change. We are fighting for justice as a necessarian. And there is hate that is getting spewed over us. So, in that case, right in the middle of a social change, also, you will have to ask yourself, how do you stay true to the cause? Is once again, oops, let me draw with this one. Am I doing what I am here for, or am I inciting violence? Again, use your words carefully. Make sure you are doing the right thing. Am I inciting violence or positive change? Okay. So, what am I doing? Ask yourself that right in the middle of any of these things that you're doing. Ask yourself, oops, 1 second. Let's go to green, red color. Okay. So, the second thing you can ask yourself is this process of fighting for justice making me cheerful or just angry and cynical? Okay. Is it making me cheerful or cynical? We see a lot of negativity already in our life. Then, when you're fighting for a social cause, why would you want to become cynical? If you are becoming cynical and critical and just becoming negative, you need to watch out whose company you are in. Okay, so again, if you don't watch out for all these signs, again, they will lead to burnout very quickly. Okay, so what are you tweeting? What are you creating a placard for? What are you communicating? Are you creating, inciting violence, or are you encouraging and leading with positive change? Are your tweets a little ambiguous, or like confusing, or very, very caustic, or uh, you have to check yourself, you have to balance yourself, otherwise they all these negative things will affect you and they will not allow you to continue. So next, 1 second, let me just see here. 1 second. So, okay, Shivani ji, okay. Lines with your values you cannot sustain. Absolutely. Thank you, Girija ji. Yes, unless the cause aligns with your own personal belief and your value system, you cannot sustain in the long run. Absolutely. Right time, I mean. Okay, so you were saying, yeah, right time. Okay. So, okay. Okay. Shivanaji, it's okay, ma'am. Whatever works for you, and we all have families to balance and so many things going on, so it's okay. Um, Exactly, exactly. So even with a small step, so lot of things are happening as far as burnout is concerned among SSRians. That hashtag hai, ya tagline hai, it's confusing, and it's just sometimes it's plain outright very, very. negative if you see the threads on those topics. So sometimes what happens is people who just want to do their job and just get out of here are kind of demoralized with what is happening. So we need to, again, sustenance comes from understanding our final goal, and it's okay, people will keep doing whatever they want to, but how do you keep moving forward, even if it is a small step? Absolutely. um okay, themselves create a hatred and man. Tanya ji, I know. See, that is the thing, right? So everybody playing, recording games, matlab just exposing other people. But just try to sit with your own thoughts and try to understand what are we here for in the first place, and are we really projecting the values of the person that we are fighting for? So that's but yeah, so let's do, okay, so quickly let's go through what is the main point here that we are trying to highlight. Okay, so again, as Girjaji was just saying, it's trying to stick understanding what are your, because at the end of the day, okay, so let's do this, let's go with the, okay, the value system will determine the success of your impact. Okay, because if you are truly aligned with your value system, you will be able to sustain momentum for yourself, and that will lead to success in whatever area of change you want to see in. Okay, so that is the thing. Because see, I keep thinking, why is Sushant so endearing to us? Like, why do we keep thinking about him, even though he is not in our lives physically anymore? Is because, again, he was a person whose humanity was making him influential. So make sure that your humanity, your value systems is driving the impact and the influence. Okay, don't get carried away by groupthink or anybody. So just make sure that you truly are aligned. Because what is going to happen is, if you understand, and this is true with Sushant, because if you see, okay, his humanity was what caused that this massive impact and influence across generations. Again, we have been talking about this, 5-year-olds, 7-year-olds singing poetry, say, doing, talking about him online, offline, in the real world, creating awareness. 80-year-old grandmas who are writing about him, tweeting about him, creating videos and content about him. I mean, can you imagine? So why is that? So the humanity is creating the impact and the influence. Okay, so we will talk about why we quit and why burnout happens and what we can do to avoid that. Okay, so here are the action steps. So what happens, why burnout happens, and what are the action steps that we can take to continue our personal momentum for a cause. So let's do this. I will talk. So the last two topics are why burnout happens and what we can do to sustain our momentum. So you cannot, absolutely, one cannot borrow fuel. It has to come from self motivation to sustain longer. Yeah, absolutely. And if you are not driven enough in your own personal capacity for that, like obviously it's somebody else's cause, you wouldn't care less, right? So yeah, I'm saying it is important to meet right people at the right time. Even one such person cause pressing on ourselves, it gives us boost to keep it up. Okay. I see it, Lina ji. Okay, yes, exactly. And see, that is what I keep thinking. Your motivation helps my motivation, and vice versa, right? Like, so we are like, okay, it's okay. So I have only tweeted 7 tweets today. It's okay. But I see somebody else doing something else. They're creating spaces, or they're creating a YouTube video, or they're investigating, and they're throwing out all this information. I'm like, okay, so I have learned all these things today. That is also momentum in my in my kitty. So I'm like, okay, I keep using all that. And as you said, even one person, two people, three people who are aligned with that cause, okay, just as much as you are, is enough, really. And thankfully, with a movement like Sushant, we have a lot of people who actually feel and are almost on the same page as us. So that is a blessing in disguise, and that is what I feel is like so sustainable for us, in this, and especially for keeping it alive for almost 18 months. So okay, so let's see a few more minutes, and I'll just give you a quick roundup of how all this looks like in action and why usually we create that inertia and that friction in ourselves, because of burnout. So, what happens with burnout? So, let's talk about burnout, and you have to understand that burnout is primarily a neural event. So, what I mean by that is, our physical body, of course our physical body will get tired, if you don't sleep for a long time or whatever, but the idea that, okay, we want to continue, we have this desire and this willingness to continue, we have this desire to keep going, but sometimes we just give up. Why do we do that? Is because there are a few reasons, and let's talk about that. The first okay the first Oops, okay, the first thing is being extremely selfless. So what happens is, some people out of guilt, they think, okay, absolutely, this is one of the very very important things, man. Yes, you don't see how far you have come, because our negativity bias holds us back, saying that, array, we are nowhere close to getting justice. How can we celebrate, right? But we forget all the milestones that we have accomplished in the last 18 months that have led up to this point. Yes, this is a very big factor in our, why do we give up easily is, so I'll come to that. So basically what we do is, some of us are extremely selfless. We are like, we just want to, we feel that guilt. Array, God has given us so much, we have gotten so much in our lives, now we need to contribute. So they become selfless, matlab, just forget everything about themselves and just go for it, right? Like social change, social cause, and everything. And quickly they realize that it is a recipe for disaster, and you can burn out very quickly. So second thing is, uh, inability to trust everybody who is inability to trust. So basically, how do we know that, oh, I am, मैं तो मतलब संत परमात्मा, I'm like the best person in this movement, everybody else might be having an agenda. Like, how do you think that, right? So that is the, and that demotivates us, because we are like, oh, I'm fighting with my pure heart, everybody else is out there with an agenda. Well, how do you know that? You need to be able to, you cannot decide, uh, that that for yourself, that is not a valid thought, right? So that outrage, so indignation, and you're like, I'm the best person, everybody else is like just in there for some personal agenda or whatever. So that is not a, valid approach, but we tend to get carried away like that. Lack of appreciation. So the next thing is lack of appreciation, because we are like, we are, if you remember, one of the top three needs of human beings is recognition. And when we don't have that appreciation or that recognition, we are not neurochemically rewarded. Array, you made 100,000 tweets in the name of Sushant. Yay, congratulations. And you're like getting a pedestal, being put on a pedestal, you're being retweeted and everything, and you get a natural high, and like, yes, yes. But what if nobody cared? You're like, so does that mean that your work is insignificant? It should not. But unfortunately, we crave recognition, and in that process also, we don't we just burn out, and we are like, yeah, obviously nobody cares, and maybe I'm not making that much of an impact, and let me just leave this, it's not for me, or something like that. The next thing is infighting. So again, if you remember, crisis happens because racial tensions, caste system, and all these things happen because we are like, you bully other people or you harass other people, and you think that because you are holding yourself at a high standard, you think that it's okay to bully and harass other people, and think that uh, you're also contributing. Harass spelling, okay, so all these things, and this is also. And what happens is the victim of all these things will feel like they will quit. And of course you can also not continue this blame game and this bullying and harassment, and you will also quit. So it's just not a sustainable way. The next thing is graphic content. So if you see, I used to be following all these. I am kind of, I mean, vegans might hate this, but I am a vegan sort of kind of. So if you see vegan activists around the world, you can Google some YouTube videos and everything like that. Vegan activists are extremely, I mean, their videos, some of the videos that they put up of animal abuse and everything, it's just extremely graphic. And I just that's why I was not able to take up veganism as an active, as my own social changeism, because it's just not sustainable for me to keep seeing all that graphic content, because it just scares the shit out of me. Okay, so again, if this kind of thing bothers you, obviously you will not be able to fight for those kind of causes, which you cannot just do well with, right? So one second, let's just look at okay, comments. Lack of visible, I know, falki asha. I know, absolutely. We keep thinking that we should get something out of it, like some kind of recognition, or sabhashi or something like that. And also we, at the other end of that, the social change, because we are fighting so hard, we also want to see an outcome that we desire. So there's so many things. Nahi honi chahiye, but fir bhi hoti hai. I still feel trusting is more like hitting a stone in the dark. It works or doesn't work. That is so true. See, but general assumption. So I'm not saying that just blindly trust everybody and like make them your friend and share all your personal details and everything and in the movement and everything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying ki generally don't assume that the other person is also not fighting as hard as you are for the cause. So that's the only request basically. Yes, unless we plunge. That is true. Unfortunately, a lot of us have been once bitten, twice shy with, backstabbing, unnecessary drama, and all that. But yeah, one gives it up easily when trollers, narcissistic people attack the person who is not able to defend because not being one like them. See, Taniji, so that is the thing, right? So you want to align yourself with some values and everything, and then other people who are being bullies or harassers or anybody, you just don't want to stoop to their level, and you're just like, okay, it is what it is, And as you said, unfortunately, a lot of people are leaving the movement and going away because they're not able to just sustain that kind of pressure and that kind of attitude towards them. That is sad. I agree with you. To get frustrated once in a while is normal. We ask ourselves questions like, why am I doing this? Is it beyond my personal gain? Do I react to criticism and trolling in a positive way? Absolutely. See, it is like if I keep thinking like this, you cannot just be nice to everybody, especially if the other person just doesn't deserve it. I mean, you see, if they're a repeat offender, you will get an idea of like, at some point you will have to defend yourself. There's no other way. So yeah, do I get affected by what others say? So that's what even I keep thinking. There is a certain point at which to which you can filter, of course, but constant, recurring, and persistent threat or abuse is not sustainable. So at some point of time you will have to not ignore and defend. So it is okay. I mean, it is what it is. So because dignity in life and dignity in death is what we all deserve as human beings. So we don't have to not get affected. Once in a while we can just say like how things are. So कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे and then get back to work. Absolutely. It is what it is. And it's okay. I mean, and here also, I don't want to do any clickbait or or anything that will draw more viewers or anything like that, because मेरे को I want people like अभी देखो तीन चार लोग थे who were just commenting like you and just hanging out. This is good. So and this is sustainable for me. मेरे को अभी 2000 लोग भी देख लिए तो if they don't get what I'm trying to say, what is the point? So this is good. So again, why does burnout happen? And here, let's see. Yeah. So graphic content. And the thing is, when you see graphic content, for me, what happens is I feel hopeless. I feel like there's such a big war to be fought. What is my contribution in this? Can I even make a dent? Can I make a difference? I don't want to do this. This is just too much. And then that is the kind of things that happen when I look at graphic content. So that is the thing. So let's look at the number sixth one: unreal expectations of what you are expecting. Basically, unreal expectations are you are thinking that you want to be able to make a change, but tomorrow, if you don't see anything, as Shivani ji was saying, you don't see the needle moving, and then you are like, "Ye kya ho raha hai? I've been fighting for 18 months, nothing has happened so far." No, that's not true. So many people who have been thugs, who have been useless assholes, have been put behind bars and they are absconding. And there's so many great things that are happening in the movement. So, not having unreal expectation, I mean, having unreal expectations, thinking that the needle is not moving, all these things discourage and demotivate. And that's why people quit. So, one very big thing so because I keep thinking, you're reading a book, okay, you're reading a book in like 130 days, but 30 days may that person is probably the protagonist or whatever in the book, from 6 months to 60 years he has finished his journey of life in those 30 days that you have been reading the book, right? So things are not often like how they appear. So you just have to not get carried away by these unrealistic expectations and just keep fighting. So let's go here. Just one more thing that is very, very important. Actually, this will take a lot of place. Okay, so here what we will do is I want to draw most important takeaway. If you guys are looking for a takeaway about here, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, oops. Okay, hold on. I want to draw. My drawing is so okay. So if you see this, how do you go about not getting burnt out? Basically, how do you not burn out, and how do you maintain balance in all areas of your life? So let's go here. There is a blue thing. Okay. So vocation. What are the six spokes of life? Just let's look at this. Vocation, love, I mean, relationship, just trying to be able to health, money, even though this is a social construct that we have created. Okay, let's just think that this is also an important aspect of life. Okay, our social aspects, our relationships, and contribution. So if you see this, these are the contributions. Sorry, guys, my handwriting sucks, but you have been living with this for a few months now. Okay, so here, let's look at the six spokes of life, and why we burn out and leave social justice movements is because this is the aspect and it overshadows every single aspect of our life. If we are only focused on this piece of the pie, contribution, contribution, contribution. Today, I want to tweet 1,000 retweets. I want to retweet 1,000 tweets. What will happen to your vocation, your job, your relationships, your social status, like, and your health, physical, mental, emotional health, and of course, what about your livelihood? You know what they say, right? Sometimes your passion can drive you into poverty. Okay, so if your passion is driving you into poverty, also all this contribution that you are trying to do, the social change, social impact, and everything, it is not sustainable because, oh, in the wheel of this wheel of wellness, only one part is getting love and nurture. What about the rest of the parts? It is just not enduring enough to be able to sustain. So this is the biggest thing that I want to request you. If you guys are working actively in a social change, and if you want to sustain yourself, your job, whatever it is, you might be a volunteer, you might be a stay-at-home mom, you might be a wife, or you might be a husband, or you might be a father, you might be a grandmother, you can be anything. What is your role and how are you playing it? Looking at all those aspects, your love and nurture. I have a cat and a dog. So just like how I take care of my children, I need to be able to give. Otherwise, it's just the relationship is not sustainable. My health, if I'm sitting 20 hours a day and not sleeping and not focusing and only working on my 1,000 retweets, what is going to happen? Like, how will I make money to be able to make my ends meet? I need to, have some source of income so that I don't get desperate, okay, and completely forget this and just wallow in grief, right? So these are the six spokes of life that you'll have to work on. And sorry, by the end of this whole drawing, this was so shady, but I hope you got the point. So let's see here, one second. Okay, here one is characterized as fake SSRian, non-SSRian, corrupt SSRian, agent SSRian. Nobody is seen as plain and simple SSRian. They have to add adjectives all the time. Yes. And so who are, so again, when we are also blaming, right, when we are calling anybody else corrupt or having an agenda or anything like that, what are we doing? If we are calling them, is this even in alignment with the values that of the person we are fighting for? So we have to think, then they're called as okay. Okay, so here, family member pressure makes you take U-turn. This could be the reason. Absolutely, exactly. So Shivani, that is what happens, right? So that is one of the main things. If you want to be able to sustain, okay, setting an expectation with your family and with your loved ones and your social relationships, that hey, uh, 45 minutes a day, 1 hour a day, I'm going to be busy doing this. This is what I do. This is part of my identity. And, accept me like how I am, right? They might not, we are not even asking for understanding. We're not even asking for acknowledgement or anything like that. We are not even asking them to come on board and fight with us because they might have their own social causes to work with. My mom has a different social cause. My husband has a different social cause. Everybody has their own social cause that they are fighting for. So giving them space and helping them understand where we are also coming from, and maintaining that balance in that, in all these areas of wellness is critical. So that is what we have to do. So let's wrap this up where, with the few points of actionable takeaways that we can all remember to how to continue to march forward. So let's do this. So march along with me. So whatever your causes, Black Lives Matter, you want women's rights, you want but you want uh, I work in education equity, so I want education rights to every single child in the world or adult who is interested in making themselves better. So there's so much of social inequality in terms of education, Some of the kids that I teach, wealthiest of wealthiest kids in the world, and the poorest and poorest of kids in the world. So, how do you strike a balance between those kind of social inequality and try to make sure that they all get the same kind of quality education that they truly deserve, right? So, there's so many social causes that we can tie ourselves with, but how do we march along, okay, in a sustainable fashion without burning out or without giving up? Okay, so these are my pointers. Please, by all means, you're welcome to add whatever you have on your mind. Um, if you have any points, the first thing is self care. So if you remember, there was an extreme. So 2016, I believe, was the year of self care. Matlab, everybody, oh, I need to take care of myself. I need to go to a spa. I need to go take care of myself. Matlab, pura like putting everybody else at risk. You go take care of yourself. That is extreme. I'm not saying ki, matlab, self care at the cost of everybody else in your life. I'm not saying that. By that I mean schedule activism hours. So this is what I do. I have activism hours during which I am a active activist. So activism hours in a day, these are the times when I will fight for the cause. But the rest of the hours, I have to take care of my family, I have to do my dishes, I have to clean my house, I have to do my laundry, I have to take care of my kids, I have to make sure they're doing their homework. Like, matlab, the list goes on, right? So otherwise, again, in that, of course, I have self-care as well incorporated, because I am creating I'm compartmentalizing. I'm putting everything in a way that it is compartmentalized. So second thing is, let's see if anybody is saying something. 1 second. Here is okay. Okay, so basically what happens, Shivani, is there is definitely, so sometimes some of the live count goes up to 3,000 viewers, and then the total count after the YouTube live is like some 5,000 or 6,000. And tomorrow morning when I check, it's like 1,000. So I don't know what is happening. And especially the ones with the boycott Bollywood, the count is just changing so much and so rapidly. So I don't know what is happening. So, yeah, one word is common, necessarian. One justice is there, 99% will be happy. Forget the rest. Sometimes the negative publicity also helps. That is true. That is true. And the word accessory, and that's what I keep thinking. Tagline, hashtag, I still don't understand what these ladies are and these guys are fighting about every single day on Twitter. But I am very happy that at the end of the day, it is something to do with Sushant, and I'm like, retweet karo, isko, everything retweet karo, irrespective of what it is. So that our fight is not within ourselves, our fight is against Bollywood. So yeah. Okay. Okay, okay, so let's do, yeah. So self-care. Okay, so we already talked about that. So the next thing is, understand what are your strengths. If you are not playing to your strengths, you always feel like you lack something, you cannot do this or that, and you feel like not so confident about continuing. You're like, I want to tweet, I want to do this, I want to. No, don't do 10 different things. Do things that showcase your strengths. So that leads me into narrow your focus. So be extremely. So मुझे बस ये YouTube live करना आता है. Once in a while I go into spaces, and once in a while I tweet. That is my contribution. That is what I can do best. So what is your contribution? Yes, I am a good. I can comment. I can engage in the comment section, and I interact with people on Twitter, and I also have a WhatsApp group where I am motivating like 20 other SSRians like me, right? That is your game plan, right? That is good if it is long term and if it is sustainable. What is the fourth one? Sometimes what happens is we keep on getting carried away, we get new friends, and unka agenda becomes our agenda. Okay, we forget our main original agenda, and then we get distracted and bhatkofied and we just go somewhere else. So for that, we need to take breaks, okay, and recalibrate. So basically, just for yourself, pause a little and recalibrate. Okay, so extremely important. Let me see if I can, you guys can see this. Oops, sorry. Let me do this. Okay, take breaks, okay, and recalibrate. So it is important that we actually recalibrate ourselves to make sure our original intention of fighting for the social cause is still the same, or are we going with somebody else's agenda ki chalo yaar is group pe hum log revenge lete hain, okay, and then immediately you start marching in the other direction, but you forgot your original intent of what you are here in the first place. So take breaks, come back in 10 days and recalibrate and reanalyze where you are. Okay, let's see. Okay, this one, two, three. Set expectations. Very, very important, as we were talking about. Set expectations with everybody around you so that they know. See, a lot of divorce counseling, what happens is in divorces, the thing that hurts the most is the spouse not knowing what was happening in the other person's life. It is the shock that is more painful than the actual event. So set expectations with those around you about what you are trying to do here, so that people understand key, okay, oh, okay, so you are doing this, okay, you will be unavailable during this time, you won't be there, blah blah blah, whatever. So setting expectations so that you are not getting like facing heat from your own family, because of which you will have to leave. So why create all that mess if you just set the intention early on key this is what is going to happen. So and wherever possible involve them if they are interested, because they are your biggest pillar, obviously. Okay, so here I just want to conclude. I just want, if anybody wants to take a screenshot, by all means, please. Some people actually take screenshots, take printouts, and put them on the refrigerator and send me pictures. And I'm just like, I think one person, as Rina ji was saying, one person, if I have been able to change their mind and able to keep them in the moment, I think my job is done. So that is, one thing. Just focus on one person, one goal at a time. So here, so let's do this. Okay, so march along. How do you march along continuously sustained is at the end of the day, we'll come back full circle to social change. Why are we even interested in social change? Because the fear of status quo, that things, we don't want things to be like this, is going to be replaced with the hope of a bright future. Because what, even now, right, the fear and the helplessness is being replaced by hope and certainty that we will all win this together. We are in this together, right? So this is what I want to leave you with. The fear and the helplessness is going to be replaced with our collective hope, because at the end of the day, somebody has to do something, and that somebody is you. So let's do this, write this down. So somebody has to do this, has to work towards it, is you and me, right? So it is you and me. We are the ones who is that somebody who is going to work for the social change that we are aspiring for. And we are here because we value our own contribution, and we also want to leave this place a better place than how we found it. 1 second. Okay, original no copy. Okay. Okay. सो अभय जी आप आ गए. सॉरी सर, मैं तो मतलब एंड करने वाली थी. चलिए आपका, हाउ डू यू स्टे पॉजिटिव एंड स्टे इन. यार ये क्यों जा नहीं रहा? एक सेकंड. Sorry, I just sent you the StreamYard link. If you're interested to join, anybody, please. So अभय जी, हम लोग ये हफ्ता, अदरवाइज I'll try my best tomorrow or day after tomorrow to do the एक भाईजान नहीं, एक दादाजी जान के बारे में एक मूवी रिव्यू एंड सम कमेंट्री है फेकता कपूर का, वो आने वाला है. तो Shivani ji, okay. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, thank you. Yes, and that is called Sunshine Hope, right? It's called Sunshine Hope, and Oprah Winfrey. She's actually a talk show host here in America, and she's a social reformer, a social change activist. So what she says is Sunshine Hope, that we all live with the Sunshine Hope key. The sun will shine tomorrow morning. With that guarantee, we go to bed every night. So that is what is sustaining. Otherwise it is so scary to just like go to bed and like sleep not knowing what tomorrow is going to bring, right? But that is Sunshine Hope, that things will work out in the end, and things will be okay. So okay, Abhayji, I'm ready for commentary. Okay. एक्सेलेंट एक्सेलेंट. सो भाईजान का तो रोस्ट करना पड़ेगा बहुत ज्यादा, बहुत तेज. तो गेटिंग सम मटेरियल, आई एम कलेक्टिंग इट. तो हो गया, ऑलमोस्ट हो गया. आई ट्राई माय बेस्ट फॉर दिस वीक, बट माय किड्स आर ऑफ, तो आई कैन नॉट प्रॉमिस. बट टुमारो या डे आफ्टर टुमारो. ओके, with that, thank you for staying here for the life cycle of a social change. You are in the middle of a great, sorry, you're in the middle of a great precipice for social change. The world is just incredible. We are living in a great time. So please do your part. Try to understand your piece of the puzzle. Stick to it. Keep your role active, and self-care. Find out your strengths, narrow your focus, take breaks, recalibrate, set expectations with everybody who is around you. And absolutely, Leelaji, well said, ma'am. Yeah, it will always shine. It is, if we see it or not. Thank you, Shivani ji. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for flying along with me. I appreciate that. Until next time, goodbye. Okay, 8 seconds. Let's just play Sushant's song, and then we can. 1 second. I just want to play this song, our favorite, and then